Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jake, the scary story guy. Ooh. Gotta think of a better way to start my videos than that. I need a theme song. Okay guys, today we're talking about Saint Maud, the latest offering in psychological horror from A24. Now, I was excited for this one because I'm a big fan of A24 horror. To my mind, it's taking the genre away from mindless carnage and in a far more positive direction. I think the genre is at its worst when the primary focus is, how creative can we be in mutilating someone's body? Because to me, true horror takes place in the mind. A24 horror movies tend to warp the viewer's perception of reality, making us not only question what's real, but if real is a concept that even makes sense. I love a straightforward ghost story, but I'm also into horror that's surreal and cerebral and weird. All of which definitely apply to this movie. So let's do this. Saint Maud is the directorial debut of Rose Glass, and right off the bat, you can tell a lot of care was put into this movie. Nothing about it feels half-assed. Every shot is deliberate. Glass is clearly just enjoying taking her time through this scenery, chewing on all these beautiful sets. And she actually wrote the movie too, which I'm always impressed when someone can pull off double duty like that. And this is the story of a pious young nurse named Maud, who is not just super into the whole God thing, but is also somewhat holier than thou about it. Which I think I've been conditioned. Anytime someone gets super riled up about like traditional moral values, I just assume that they're a complete freak in secret and they feel guilty about it, which turns out to be the case in this movie. Maud is like the Newt Gingrich of the A24 horror cinematic universe. Skeptical that my spicy political references from the 90s are going to land here, but you know what? I'm keeping it in. Anyway, Maud the nurse is hired to care for a woman who is dying of cancer. The two become friends, and over time, Maud becomes convinced that God has called her to save the dying woman's soul. Spoiler, he has not. Now that's actually all I'm going to say about the plot of this movie up front, and the reason for that is that there's just not a lot of plot to go around. This movie's only 80 minutes long, and even with that short length, it's a very deliberately paced and even slow-moving film. There's just not a lot that actually happens, so I'm going to shake things up a little bit. I'm going to rate this movie right now, and I'm going to hit you with some spoiler talk that you can come back and watch once you've actually seen the movie, if you haven't already. So without further ado, I'm going to give Saint Maud 3 stars. Now ultimately, I was feeling hyped for this movie, and it sort of underwhelmed me. Technically, it's masterful. The acting from Morfydd and Jennifer Ehle is top-notch. There are some other things I really liked about it too that I'm going to go into during the spoiler talk. But, and I can't believe I'm saying this movie's just too damn short. Characters would often do a complete 180 in regards to their personality or their motivations, and there just isn't enough on-screen time to actually flesh out how that happened. So as a viewer, I was left feeling disconnected, kind of a lot. Also, there's some loose ends, plot-wise, that honestly, it felt like watching a volleyball team do like a perfect bump and then a set, and then instead of spiking it, they just let it fall to the floor. Also, my dog, whom I love, would not leave me alone while I was trying to watch this movie, so I think it's only fair to Rose Glass that I acknowledge that as well. Gotta lip roll all this dog hair off me now. Now, let's talk spoilers. If you have not yet seen this movie, and you wish to, and you continue watching from this point forward, may God have mercy on your soul. Feels weird to say shit like that after this movie. I'll admit, the final 1 second of this movie is dope as hell. Maud self-immolates in front of a crowd of people. She's just being consumed by divine light. She's got angel wings. The onlookers are kneeling in reverence. It's a miracle. Then the illusion breaks, showing us that she's really just burning and screaming. Snap back to reality. And it made me wonder how many real people have spent their final moments like that, dying like a martyr. Some, you imagined righteous cause, you're carrying out the will of God, but really you're just being torn into pieces or having your skin melted like candle wax. It's sad, man. But honestly, I thought the saddest element of this movie wasn't even Maud's delusion, it was her loneliness. I mean, that scene at the bar where she's trying to interact with people, let's put it gently, it's just painfully obvious that she's weird, she's awkward, she doesn't fit in, even though she desperately wants to. And who hasn't been there? I felt like she actually found a lot of comfort in her belief that all these other people are dirty and indecent and sinful, because it gave her a justification for why she didn't fit in. But it's not even so much to elevate herself above everyone else as it is to convince herself that she's not beneath them. And ultimately, I think that's why Maud killed Amanda, not because Amanda was threatening her faith, but because she made Maud feel like an outcast. Which makes you wonder what that poor bastard in Maud's old hospital said. Speaking of which, the opening scene of this movie shows us that there's some terribly violent incident in Maud's past. Something went wrong, let's put it mildly, at the hospital Maud used to work at. And the movie is kind of like edging us in the direction of payoff here, and Nothing. We don't even get a hint what happened. To which I say, I'll give any movie, even one I'm not enjoying, at least 90 minutes to explain itself. No movie that's under an hour and a half long can rightfully be accused of being too long. And I was enjoying like a lot of different aspects of this movie. So you had 10 more minutes, Rose Glass, and you left me hanging. Before I wrap this up, I want to take just a sec to talk about what was probably my favorite technical element of this movie, which is the various contortions that Maud's face would undergo at various points throughout. Most horror movies, when they mess with someone's face, they'll like drop their jaw a foot and they'll blacken their eyes and give them all these veins and do something to make it very clearly a contortion, you know, very clearly inhuman. In contrast, I loved what this movie did, where it would push Maud's face just a tiny bit beyond what's humanly possible, right? She's experiencing divine ecstasy, her eyes are rolling back in her head, she opens her mouth wide, just a bit too wide. Not so much that you're gonna be like, oh wow, great special effects, or you know, good job, makeup department, but just enough that you're gonna be like, that didn't look right. I thought that was a wonderful balance to strike, and Maud, as this, you know, delusional, but still sort of sympathetic character, gave a perfect context with which to strike it. So nice job, Rose Glass. What a cool name, Rose Glass. Guys, that about exhausts the thoughts that I have on Saint Maud, so if you enjoyed this video, if you'd like to see more horror-themed content like this, please go ahead and subscribe. If you're interested in reading my original horror stories, I'll put links in the description below. Thank you for watching my video, and here's hoping you survive to see the next one.